In many ways, the new ASUS Zenbook Duo acts as a next evolution for the brand when it comes to extended displays. We have seen ASUS tackle more screen space in some rather creative ways in the past. Many of the Zenbook models feature displays on their trackpads, larger displays that make up the bottom of the chassis, and even entirely foldable OLED Zenbooks. However, everything up to now has always felt like it was almost there. The new Zenbook Duo feels as if ASUS has finally reached the end of its vision. The notebook is a dual OLED device that from the outside looks like your average Zenbook. However, flip up the keyboard and there's two 14-inch OLED panels that create a world of possibilities for its users. The Asus Zenbook Duo is also packed with some high-end tech. It includes an Intel Core Ultra 9, 32GB of RAM, and a 2TB SSD. The Intel Core Ultra 9 is also an important part here, but we'll get into why during the benchmarks. Of course, the big push for the Asus Zenbook Duo is to deliver more screen real estate while offering an extremely portable and on-the-go solution. It goes without saying that the Asus Zenbook Duo is the most unique notebook I have ever used. This nifty device looks like a normal single display Zenbook from the outside with the traditional markings and all the ports you would expect from a fully fledged notebook. Sure, it is a little bit thicker than the other Asus Zenbook models on the market, but this tech is hiding away an entire second display. When I say hiding, I really mean it. I went around and asked my family to open up the device. Upon opening it, they asked me what is so special about this. That's because unless you know there's a second display hidden underneath the half-size keyboard, you won't be none the wiser. The body of the Asus Zenbook Duo is made from a magnesium aluminium alloy. The full metal shell makes it incredibly lightweight but also premium. There's almost no plastic on this device at all, bar the rubber-like bezels on the display and the keyboard. The unit doesn't feel like a chunk of metal, and if anything is almost plasticky thanks to the magnesium aluminium. When closed, the device looks like your ordinary notebook. On the left, you'll find a USB 3.0 port and two USB-C ports. The keyboard switch and USB-C charging port for the detachable keyboard are both technically on the left of the device too. On the right, you'll find an HDMI 2.0 port and an audio jack combo. When it comes to the ports, that's all you'll get here. The unit charges with USB-C, so there's no extra charging port either. The bottom of the Asus Zenbook Duo then features a metal kickstand. This kickstand can rotate to 90 degrees and also features some hefty hinges to keep the device stable. There are also some rubber feet on the unit to help with the grip when positioned flat. You'll also spot some vents around the device on both sides, at the back and underneath it too. There are also two speaker grills. Asus has packed the Zenbook Duo with Harman Kardon speakers. The unit opens up and can be positioned completely flat at 180 degrees. The keyboard is easily removed from the unit thanks to its magnetic pins that keep it in place. I was honestly surprised about the detachable keyboard. It is incredibly light and even with its ridiculously thin form factor, delivers a satisfying key press. Asus even included a sizable trackpad on this tray too. Some brands don't even include a large trackpad in their all-in-one notebooks, let alone on a detachable keyboard. It makes gestures on Windows 11 a breeze. Removing the awesome keyboard, I was greeted by the two display design. Both OLED panels are identical here and they're designed to function as a hybrid system between a tablet and a notebook. However, that all depends on how well the software has been built around this experience, and I did have a few issues here and there, but I'll get to that in a second. As for the displays, these are two of Asus's highly calibrated OLED panels. They pack a resolution of 2880 by 1800, an aspect ratio of 16 by 10, 100% DCI-P3 color gamut, 120Hz refresh rate, and they both reach the peak brightness of 550 nits. They also come with Dolby Vision support. Having one OLED panel is already fantastic, but having two is a whole other ballgame. Just general use of the device was a dream, and the vibrant panels combined with the richer and brighter colors make using the Asus Zenbook Duo a real dream. It is the perks of one OLED display but doubled. Of course, the 91% screen to body ratio also goes a long way to create as much screen space as possible. So whatever you're doing, it looks wonderful. Both displays also work with the ASUS Pen 2.0 stylus, which is included in the box. The pen is easy to pair with the ASUS Zenbook Duo and works as any other stylus would. It also includes various pressure points. Overall, the OLED displays are superb. They look amazing to use, and even the oleophobic coating helps keep smudges away, most of the time. But the displays are only as good as the software running the experience, and my time with the Asus Zenbook Duo was somewhat hassle-free. First off, Asus offers various gestures that are meant to make life easier for those who are only using the displays and not the keyboard. For example, if you tap the bottom of the display with 6 fingers, Windows is meant to bring up a virtual keyboard. Essentially, this turns the device into a notebook without the physical keyboard. Helpful for those who want to quickly type something while using both displays. This whole experience is handled by the built-in program called ASUS Screen Expert. This works hand in hand with the ASUS control panel and dial. The Screen Expert experience is a mixed bag. I was able to tap 6 fingers on the display and launch the keyboard, but at times it felt a bit unresponsive. I could also slide 6 fingers up to pull up a larger on-screen keyboard with the large trackpad and slide them down to remove the keyboard altogether, leaving the handwriting app behind. Think of the experience like every finger slide would expand the offerings from a full-size keyboard to a mini keyboard with handwriting and then closing the whole app completely. So you'll gesture across this rhythm depending on what you need. The mini keyboard is definitely the easiest to use in my opinion because it has a little trackpad on the right hand side. This can easily be toggled. The larger keyboard would take some time to get used to. Not only does your wrist rest on the display and get warm, but resting my hand on the screen felt incredibly unnatural at first. But even with some of the issues, I was impressed by the apps and everything they had to offer. The dial pad changes to whatever app I was using, which is great for those who use it for programs such as Photoshop and Lightroom. I also thought the way Asus handled the digital keyboard was smart. Don't get me wrong, it is not perfect at all, but it works and it does feel great when it does. The extra screen space is also helpful for other modes of use here too. When you have Screen Export open, you can quickly toggle a range of shortcuts to access other apps. There's also a window pop-up that appears when dragging any window across the display. Here I could quickly drop the window into either 1 or 2, which would then send the window to either the first or the second display. Then there's also various blocks to choose from either these 1 or 2 settings to seamlessly arrange the windows for the way I want. It saves dragging stuff around and finding room for everything. I also really enjoyed the cross-display wallpaper. It looks so awesome, and when I toggled it for the first time, it moves slightly. I just wish there were more to choose from because applying my own images didn't look as if they were designed for these 2 displays. Okay, so getting around and managing those 2 OLED displays was a lot easier than I expected. However, that is thanks to Asus' software. There are a few hiccups here and there though, especially when Windows 11 wants to jump in and help with the task, but for the most part it was a smooth experience. When it comes to the performance of this Asus Zenbook Duo, it does hold up quite well. The Intel Core Ultra 9 CPU is a relatively new notebook processor that was only announced in December. The device includes the high-end Intel Core Ultra 9 185H that has a 5.1 GHz boost clock. It also includes an Arc GPU with 8 Z cores. This all helps boost visual performance while keeping the battery use low. I ran some performance tests on the unit when plugged into the charger. I focused on a visual 3D test and a CPU test. These tests showed that the Asus Zenbook Duo is more than capable of tackling your daily tasks. Is this a heavy PC video editing device? Maybe some light video editing and photo editing here and there, but nothing overly crazy at all. The gaming benchmarks also showed that even with the Intel Arc GPU, this notebook isn't a gaming device at all. As for the fan noise, during my test the fan did spin. There was an obvious noise, but I was surprised at how subtle it was. There was some heavy build-up on both sides of the vents too. After heavy testing, I wouldn't want to have this on my lap as the warmth could get a bit overwhelming. As for the speakers, I was surprised at how loud they were. They definitely lack a decent bass system, but in terms of clarity and loudness, you can get away with music and video watching without worrying about the sound. Performance and 1.4 times as fast when you look at the raw power enabled. The RTX 4080 Super also doesn't shy away from the performance, and its specs are quite impressive. Lastly, the battery life. This is my second hands-on with the Intel Core Ultra, and I was taken aback by how energy efficient this chip is. The chip combined with the 70 watt per hour battery provides a reliable experience here. It can easily see you through 10 hours of the day with 70% screen brightness on both displays. If you don't use both displays, you'll get more battery of course. So it is all dependent on how much you use here. But given the power on offer and the dual screen display, the battery life was quite impressive. I have to praise the Asus Zenbook Duo for its innovative design. While the device's performance isn't up to scratch, this unit feels a lot less gimmicky than previous dual-screen notebooks from Asus, and that is an achievement on its own. Using it felt natural, and the simple things like removing the keyboard and propping up the notebook to its stand mode were seamless and hassle-free. Sure, there are a few wonky software moments here and there, but nothing really got in the way from using the device. Asus has done a great job here. If you're looking for a lightweight and portable notebook that is more than just a single screen, this is probably the best you can get from the brand. So those are my thoughts on the 2024 Asus Zenbook Duo. Are you looking to pick this device up? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and please do consider liking and subscribing while you're here for more content. Visit glitched.online for more gaming, tech, news and reviews while you're at it too. Until next time, farewell.